This is Justin AMZN for Friday, November 1st, 2019. We had a bullish retest gap from, let's see, we actually had a close up above these highs and actually above these opens, which is great. Bullish retest gap from an indecision candle. And we had that first little bit of not higher momentum, slightly lower bullish momentum. But on the 5 minute, we actually had some really interesting candles come in. We initially threw down this lower wick and didn't really bounce off of anything from yesterday, other than just the 21 that was trying to catch up from yesterday to where it was today. We had a really nice kind of continuation here. And then it ran into this line, which I was showing the other day. If you look at, well, I'm not going to switch now. If you look at like an hourly, it kind of cuts through things. It looked like it was coming into yesterday. On a 5 minute, we were actually there. And you have two really nice high wave candles, and it starts to break down from there. Retests basically almost to those high wave candles and then breaks down, where it puts in another high wave candle down here, basically off of the low it put in on the day. And it comes down there a second time as well and bounces both of those times. Even this was a really nice breakdown and then a retest where you're actually retesting this level here, these lower wicks, and rolling over. And I did not play this well because I was looking for a retracement like this, and I had an order out to get into a put. Once it retraced, put filled down in here. I didn't set the pullback value, I guess, low enough or something, but it filled like down here and then retraced and then got back to like break even here, and it didn't make any money. So it was really surprising to get filled in this space where I was expecting to get filled up in here. And even, I would have had to wait through all of this to even make any sort of profit over here. But anyway, it was a really nice breakdown and a retracement. It just took a while. It took a lot longer on the day. And I guess, yesterday it went just sideways for a couple hours. Today it actually went bullish for like 2 hours. I mean, this isn't hugely bullish, but it, retraced for 2 hours and then rolled over for another hour. All from, kind of a triangle up here. If I'm not being clearly sketched what I'm seeing a triangle like this right in here. And this was kind of the last candle trying to bounce, but it already had broken through. This was a really nice bearish candle. We had some increase in volume coming down here, and I guess the increase in volume was afterward. A lot of people getting on, thinking it was going lower. And then, like I said, it had a really nice bounce off of that level. I'm going to try and draw that one more time. Still kind of funny. All right. So let's go look at some of the candles up in here and down in here on the options. So first we'll look at going bullish. So right out the gate, 10 by 9. There it is. If you just had the order sitting open, which I don't normally do and didn't, 10 by 9 looks like it would have filled and just continued on higher. Put in these high wave candles on the 5 minute on the stock, and that was a great place to take off profits because it just pulled back and just went sideways here. And so had you not done that, have you gotten in 10 by 9 or even up here like 12 by 11 or something, you could have had your stop moved up to around 12.50. Let's see, 12.50 was the low, or buying at 12.50 and holding on to 14.50. That could have worked. But putting a really nice base here, as it was forming that triangle, and then you can see it start to break down here, recover a little bit, and then break down further. And once it broke down, it being a Friday and it's an option. This is the 1780 call, and I picked this one just because it was a little better than the 1775 and less expensive. But it still had some nice price movement. Obviously, we're going to put in a lower low than this later in the day as we pull back to the same level on the 5 minute. And it was just a little bit too wide to do like 8x7. But as it started to kind of recover and retrace, you really could have gotten in like 8x7 a little bit later. As it did that, it almost did like a double bottom. Right in here, it was kind of a double bottom like this, buying the second low of the bottom and just holding on to that. It just didn't continue higher, but it was definitely a double bottom that just went sideways here. And that was something you could have traded, getting into the second low, getting in at 8 and just holding on for a ride up, and probably could have gotten 2R going from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 even. But all of this was just kind of a little bit of a lower base, and we lost more value as it pulled back down to, again, the same location. So once it came down to the same location, that was at 205. You could have been buying down there. So you could have been buying 10 by 9, 8 by 7 over here, not here, and then over here 7 by 6. So you didn't get like the dollar regression. You got a $2 regression here and then another dollar regression over here, where you could have been buying after putting a new low. And really that's key, is you don't necessarily want to be buying the low, because you don't know that that is going to be the low. But this level, that was making a higher low. Over here, this candle was making a higher low from this one. So that was really kind of what happened as it was starting to bounce, and you get some nice gains off of those. So 8 by, like I said, this one being 8 by 7 made it to 2R. This one 7 by 6 made it to actually 3R easily, if you held into the close. Which, if you didn't hold into the close, you probably just scalped an R, which is still good. Now let's switch gears and look at the candles up here and also some over here. If we look at the puts, when we're way up here, I'm going to look at the 1800 calls. I'm sorry, 1800 puts. And it put in some really nice high wave candles. You could have been getting into these, or you could have really just waited till it did that retracement and gave you just about the same value. I don't know if you would have been filled buying at 7. It looks like you could have been buying at 7. Over here worked and went up to 9, and buying here at 7 worked and went up to 9, and then continued as that rolled over, almost got up to the high from the open for the put around 14 here. And so probably a nice target, just not being sure that it was going to actually come down to that same level. Probably setting a target, in this range, just to see, okay, we'll break down, we'll get through some of these lows. Let's just get out, in between this range in case it doesn't make that far. So getting out probably at 1105, that would have been on this candle. So like 13, maybe past this a little bit, or right at that 13, 1250, 13. So that would have been getting in at 7, getting out at 13. And, it would have been a really nice gain. It would have been 6R there. As it retraced, now the 1800 calls they don't have as much volume through this retracement. So people are looking for, options that are less expensive than $10 in the money. But all through this, it just puts in a really nice base right at $10. So again, 10 by 9, I like seeing that one. It's also a double bottom with a retest of the $10 price. And so what I'm saying is, come on. Oops. Here's your double bottom. Here's your retracement, and your neckline retracement there. That's a pretty straight line. Look at that. All right. So 10, 9 to 10 was your pivot range. 9 to 10 was your pivot range, and you could have just been buying $10 and just held on. It went up to 13 again. So your target up here of 13 would have worked again. Just got in lower over here and got in higher over here, which still works. If you were looking at something closer, probably 1790 would have been a nice one to get into. Let's see what we got. So we put a really nice long base here. Zoom in a little bit more. It was really, really tight on the range. So it came down to around $2. It was just kind of fluctuating around $2. Didn't really give you anything good here. I guess 2 You could have gotten in at 2, flipped it out at 3, gotten in at 2, kind of a little worried as it pulled back to 150, and then it ran up and it put in a high right around these these high candles, the lows on the 5 minutes. So it makes sense to set your target at like 550. So had you done that, you would have been getting in at 2 and getting out at 550 for a nice 3R or a little bit more than that gain. Had you been getting out on the same candle, getting it 2 and getting out at the 1105 candle, then you probably got out for like 450 or 4, and that would have still been 2R. Still would have been a nice gain. What's really interesting was we came down to the same price here, getting in at $2 again. So the same trade you did here, going in from 2 and going up to 4 for a double essentially. Double the option, get 2R. You could have done again, buy at 2 and get out at 4, and it actually would have hit one time in here. So you would have just had to have it set up as a target. But as it moved from 2 to 4, from 2 to 350, you probably didn't want to hold back down and let it become a loss. You probably had moved up your stop if you were watching it and got trailed out for break even or slightly better. If you had gotten into the trade again and it did give you a couple opportunities to do it again, those times you would have been looking for just 3 as a target, and you may not have held on all the way over to 4. So that's all right. That's, trying to lock in the gain, trying to make something back if you did take a loss. That's trading the 1790 put, because we're right here at the money here. We gotten out of the money here. We're right at the money here. And it's just a matter of picking what option it's going to be by seeing kind of where we're at. And sorry, I'm clicking around. Let me go back to the daily here. This was a nice pivot up here. The high was 1798.85. We got up to 1797.45 today and hit that downtrending line on the 5 minute, which looking at it like this doesn't seem like we're connecting the dots there. But let me see. I just connect that, and maybe this candle and this candle connects to that. I don't know. Not entirely sure. I'd have to go zoom in to set it on these days, which, you know what, let's just do that. We'll just draw a new line, just see what it does. I'm going to sketch it here to here. All right. See how, oops, wrong one. That's not the right one again. Okay, it's like not cooperating. I'm going to draw a line here and here, and then we'll set the values once I can click on the line. There we go. Okay, this day, the high is 2035.80. Now it's going to not behave again. I can't edit. All right, I'm going to have to try and do this as an exercise another time. And just go back to what we're talking about. All right. Along with there being this resistance here, if you think about it, since last Friday, where we opened up and put in a low right at 1695, we ran up $100 on Amazon from 1695 to 1795 and a little bit more. But I mean, that's a really good bullish move. And in a week's time, I mean, that's huge. I'm not sure the percentage, but $100 on what was a $1,700 stock going up from their 100 to 1,800 almost. I mean, what was that 5-6%, something like that, 6% maybe. Anyway, that's a good move. That's a really good move, and so it makes sense that it's going to run into some selling up in here, and that it could pull back. You can still look for a bullish move, and we got some of that. The other thing I'll sketch in here, I drew in this triangle, but we also have this triangle. So this was the smaller triangle in the day that turned into a double bottom, and then this is the bigger triangle that's forming, and we're actually breaking out of that. And so here we are in this range we could see this continue up on Monday. We'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, that's how you could have played some puts, some calls, and kind of overall where we're at. We're just kind of grinding higher. And, part of me is getting the feeling that we really shouldn't be up here because we were just up here. I was expecting more bearishness since this was a bearish gap and go. And so it feels like we've, as much as we're grinding higher, I'm kind of asking the question, like, how much more could it just grind higher before it needs a little bit more of a pullback, a little more of a retest? We're clearly above this channel. Not sure how accurate that channel is anymore. It was nice through here to show some resistance and came back into play over here. Could we get a retest and see 1747 again? Maybe by the 8th in another week? Sure, it could definitely come back to that. And then, consolidate here and bounce, or that could be a really nice S curve and bounce, but if we continue to push up a little bit more, it means the market's really strong. It means Amazon's really strong, and it should continue like that. It's just a lot of bullish candles in a row and not a lot of bearish ones, which just has me wondering, okay, is it going to do something like this, or consolidate, put in some bearish candles, and it's just going to, have this bigger thrust higher, and then we'll have a bigger pullback? Or are we going to do something, come back a little bit more, where we, push higher, consolidate, push higher, consolidate, or what kind of time frame are we at? We put a really nice long base here. So just, this is a really small candle compared to, some of the bigger candles we got. It's a small candle in, pretty much the middle of this range, slightly higher than the middle of this range. This is the first close we've had above 1781. Let's see, this closed 1787. So the close we had today was 1791. So let's see, this was the last time we had a bullish close above 1781. Yeah, these weren't. So we're up in the upper half of this range. Could we be in the upper half of the range for a while? Sure. Could we consolidate in here for a while? Sure. So just got to keep an eye on how things are moving on the 5-minute, and see what trades show up. Hope this helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.